Just landed at the airport in San Salvador a little while ago. I'm now en route into the city, looking forward to meeting with the team from the American Embassy. And I do want to thank our Foreign Service officers and the whole team at this embassy and embassies around the world for all the good work we do on behalf of our country. I'm proud to co-chair the bipartisan Foreign Service Caucus that stands up for the men and women who are serving our country overseas and at home in the State Department. After that, I hope to meet with some high-level government officials from El Salvador. As I've said before, the goal of my visit is to talk to people here about the release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. I told his wife and his family I would do everything possible to bring him home, and we're going to keep working at this until we're successful. I also hope to have the chance to meet with him, but we'll have a better idea if that works out a little later on.
Great to have you with us. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thanks so much for joining me here at the Chris Highland Show. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. Thank you so much. We have a great day in the neighborhood today. It reminds me of good old Mr. Rogers. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood because we are going to check in with our noble Senator Van Huff, who went down to El Salvador to secure the release of known MS-13 gangbanger terrorist Kilmar Abrego Garcia. And we want to check in to see how that visit went. Spoiler alert, not too well. So we've got that. Before we get started, again, thanks everybody for rolling up. Please smash that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Let's dive into esteemed, I say that in air quotes, senator, as he went down to try to secure the release of known gangbanger terrorist Kilmar Abrego Garcia. As he said, he was going to get him back to live with his family in Maryland, even though the United States is not his country. He's a resident and a citizen of El Salvador. So how that's going to work, I have no idea, but let's check in and find out.
So I asked the vice president if I could meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. And he said, well, you need to make earlier provisions to go visit CCOT. I said, I'm not interested at this moment in taking a tour of CCOT. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he was not able to make it happen. I asked, he said he need a little more time. I asked him if I came back next week, whether I'd be able to see Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he couldn't promise that either. So I asked him if I could get on the phone, either video phone, just a phone, and talk to Mr. Abrego Garcia. So I could just ask him how he's doing so I could report back to his family. He said he could not arrange that. He said maybe if the American Embassy were to ask, maybe that could happen. So I will certainly ask the American Embassy to ask the government of El Salvador to connect us by phone.
This is just too classic.
I asked him how about his family? How can he talk to his wife so she can hear his voice? I let him know that the family has requested that. He said he was not sure whether he could make that happen.
In other words, the summary of this ridiculous press conference after Senator Van Huff went down there to make sure that Abrego Garcia was back home with his family, that he would be released. The government of El Salvador, not even the president, not Bukele, no, the vice president. So Bukele just shuffled it off to one of his staff members, not staff, he's the vice president, so he's a little more than a staff member. But anyway, he delegated it to someone else, has basically told the esteemed senator, pound sand. It is just absolutely classic that he is being told by a much smaller country, no, you cannot visit a known terrorist. No, you cannot visit the prison. No, you cannot call him. No, you cannot take him meals. No, you cannot have him. I mean, it's absolutely classic. How many metaphors can we think of for what the El Salvadoran government just did to this esteemed senator? Go pound sand, go kick rocks, go take a flying leap, go take a long walk off a short pier. How about just hell no? Get out of our country. They even went so far as to say, well, maybe if you ask the ambassador, the embassy, because frankly, we have more respect for the American ambassador, a member of the Trump administration, than we do for you. So maybe if you went to the American embassy and asked them and they talked to us, we might entertain it. But even then, I wouldn't get your hopes up. Because the first thing he said was, I need to see Abrego Garcia. Oh, no, you would have had to make prior arrangements for that. Oh, okay. Well, what if I come back next week? No, that's probably not going to be long enough. What if I come back next month? Let me see. The chances of that are slim and none, and Slim's out of town. This is just awesome. This is just absolutely classic. Now, this just makes me laugh. It tickles me pink to watch this idiotic senator just get owned by El Salvador. I mean, what was he thinking? Bukele was in the Oval Office just 2 days before this. He was asked by the media, are you going to release Abrego Garcia? And Bukele said, hell no. He said, first of all, what do you want me to do? Smuggle him into the country? I can't do that. That would be against American law. That would be an act of war. That'd be all sorts of bad things. And then they said, well, why don't you just release him in your country? He's like, no, because I just spent several years taking the murder capital of the world and turning it into the safest country in Central America. You think I want to go backwards by releasing known gangbanger terrorists? The El Salvadorian government knows who Kilmar Abrego Garcia is. Caroline Levitt, Stephen Miller have been on record telling us exactly who Abrego Garcia is. The courts have been on record. He was arrested. He's in this country illegally, which means he has no legal standing, basically other than I don't want to be deported and I'm going to try to prove I'm a citizen, which he can't. It's already been determined. He's here illegally. That's an open and shut case. Done deal. 2 immigration judges have said he's a member of MS-13. Both of them have determined that he is a criminal illegal alien, therefore slated for expedited removal. Furthermore, when he was arrested alongside 2 other MS-13 members. Now, MS-13 is not allowed to associate with anybody outside the gang unless they're actively recruiting said person or persons to the gang. So, Abrego Garcia was arrested in the company of 2 other known MS-13 members. He was arrested with drugs and cash in his possession. He has already been, his wife, who is fighting for his release, why I don't know, because in 20 and 21, she successfully petitioned the court for 2 protective orders against domestic violence. Abrego Garcia hit her, punched her, ripped her shirt off, scratched her eyeball. I mean, all sorts of bad things. So it has been determined, not just by the Trump administration, but by the courts. It has been further vetted and confirmed by El Salvadorian intelligence and then backed up by U.S. DOJ and U.S. intelligence. Abrego Garcia is a known gangbanger terrorist of MS-13. So he's not going anywhere. So Bukele is not going to release him. He's not going to release him back to the United States because just what's going to happen? Stephen Miller already said, if that happens, we will facilitate his return. We will take him. He will set foot on American soil and within half a second be arrested, detained, incarcerated, and deported again, either to El Salvador or to some other country of his choice who's willing to take him. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous and probably not of his choice. But anyway, this is just absolutely hilarious. So the memes were going around the internet. It was just classic. So we've got some of the memes that are out there. Here's one. Bukele to Senator Van Hollen. Here's another one. My God, are you that stupid? I mean, all you had to do was watch his press conference the day before. But in the midst of all this, Donald Trump and the Trump administration are playing this like an absolute Steinway masterpiece. Check this out. I've got 2 clips I want you to see. First, realize that Senator Van Hollen and everybody who was lining up behind him to demand the return, repatriation, and freedom for a known illegal criminal are standing with, we call it the 80-20 rule, they're standing with the 20% of America. We're going to check in with Harry N., who confirms that fact, that Americans want criminals and, frankly, all illegals deported. Check this out.
All undocumented immigrants. voters favoring the government trying to deport all 11 million of them. Back in 2016, just 38% of voters wanted the government to try to deport all 11 million undocumented immigrants. Compared to where we are in 2025, 56%, the majority. The American people have come a long way on this issue, much closer to Donald Trump, and I think that's a big part of the reason why Americans are increasingly saying the country is on the right track when it comes to immigration policy, and why Donald Trump's net approval rating on that issue is in the positive.
Absolutely. So more than half of Americans want every single illegal alien deported. And when you talk about criminal illegal aliens, that number gets into, depending on the poll, the 70s or the 80s, in some cases, even the 90s. Now, while Van Hollen was down there making a spectacle of himself in this ridiculous PR stunt, Donald Trump and the Trump administration absolutely played him because they had a special guest in an emergency press conference with Caroline Leavitt yesterday. Check this out.
To remind the media and the Democrat Party, MS-13 are among the most vicious and dangerous individuals in this world. They pose a direct threat to the United States, El Salvador, and any other country who maintains basic law and order. MS-13 rapes innocent girls and women, runs sex trafficking operations, murders for sport, and terrorizes law-abiding people. That's why El Salvador President Bukele made it clear this week that he will not be releasing this MS-13 gang member from his prison. But that is not enough. All of that is not enough to stop the Democrat Party from their lies. The number one issue they are focused on right now is bringing back this illegal alien terrorist to America. But where are the Democrats applauding the fact that southern border crossings just hit a historic low? Where are the Democrats supporting our brave men and women of law enforcement who are putting their lives on the line every single day to arrest the violent illegal alien invaders that the previous administration allowed into our country? And where are the Democrats when innocent Americans are victimized by illegal criminals that Joe Biden let in? It's appalling and sad that Senator Van Hollen and the Democrats applauding his trip to El Salvador today are incapable of having any shred of common sense or empathy for their own constituents and our citizens. Nobody knows this more. Woman standing to my right, Patty Morin, whose beautiful daughter Rachel was brutally maimed and murdered at the hands of an illegal alien in August of 2023. Patty no longer has her daughter because of the failed Democrat Party's open border, and these are policies that President Trump is bringing an end to. Patty should not have to be here today, but she is. And we are grateful and we are honored for her willingness and her request to share her powerful story with the world. Thank you, Patty.
Thank you. A lot of you don't know the whole story about Rachel and about the crime that was committed against her. Even us, her family, we didn't know all the details. They kept most of it close to their chest, the detectives, because they didn't want to do anything to hurt the case. They wanted to keep the integrity of the case, so they kept everything close. I sat for the last 2 weeks in her trial, and we saw layer upon layer upon layer of evidence against the accused, an illegal immigrant from El Salvador. And the things that we thought maybe this might have happened, we didn't know. When we were at the trial, we got all the puzzle pieces. And I want to share some of those things with you. You know that Rachel's a 37-year-old mother. She has 5 children. We've walked the trail for the last 25 years that we've lived in Maryland. It's a safe place for our family. It's where we go to get a little bit of New England, because that's where we're from, New England. When she went on that trail that day, she was not planning on dying. She wasn't planning on walking to her death. She was planning on going to the grocery store with her girls afterwards. Victor Martinez, he waited for her. He waited for her to come closer. He saw her. He saw that there was nobody around. He attacked her. He dragged her 150 feet blood coming from her head. It left 150-foot trail of blood to the culverts, where he picked her up, he threw her against the wall of the tunnel, and he raped her. But before he did that, he stopped on that trail, and rocks, still stained with her blood, he used them to hammer her head against those rocks. They say at least 20 times they could count the cuts in her head. They said that when they did the autopsy, and I've seen the pictures, there's a 6-inch square in the back of her head where the skull is shattered the way that you would crush an eggshell in pieces. 3/4 of her brain hemorrhaged. Her right and left side of her face.
This is why the Democrats are losing. This is why they have no clue. They do not have a clue. They cannot seem to get it through their thick head why they got lambasted in November and why they are losing now. Now I want to take you to the very end of the whole thing, but I want to listen as Caroline Leavitt and Patty Marin were leaving. I want to hear her last words before we end this segment. Check it out.
Please tell the truth. Exactly. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
Tell how violent it really is. This is about
Protecting our children. It's more than just politics or votes or just anything. It's about national security, protecting Americans, protecting our children. Thank you. And thank you for listening.
It's about protecting our children. And she tells the media, please tell the truth. Stop lying to America. Stop saying that these are all nice, wonderful people when they are not. The vast majority of them are not. They are here illegally, and they are criminals, violent criminals on top of that. That's who Abrego Garcia is. And that's why this story is an absolute killer for the Democrats. They are lining themselves up with depending on which poll you listen to, the 5, the 10, or the 20%, while Trump is encamped with the 80% of Americans who want these people gone. And he must have been rolling over with laughter when Van Hollen said he was going to go to El Salvador and demand this guy's release, knowing that Bukele was never going to entertain that idea, and knowing that as soon as he got to El Salvador, they could put this emergency press conference together with Patty Marin and tell everyone exactly why Trump won this election and why his approval rating is still going up, because the border is solved. We went from 10,000 encounters a day down to tens, 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, 200 a day. It's down 95%. People see that, and they also see the deportations, which is what they want.